The rain came down in sheets as a flatbed's winch dragged the first classic car out of Jeffrey Barrett's barn.
Stop. That's a 1937 Cord 812. You can't just tow them like scrap metal.
I am sorry, Mr. Barrett. The court order is clear. All abandoned vehicles must be removed by county order.
These are federally registered cultural artifacts. Look at the HVA seal. You are violating federal law.
It's a junkyard, Jeffrey. The HOA won't tolerate eyesores dragging down property values. This is long overdue.
I have to enforce the abatement. Take it up with the county. I am just doing my job, sir.
They're all on the National Historic Vehicle Register. The Smithsonian will file charges. You'll all regret this.
One by one, 8 vehicles were winched onto flatbeds, their chrome and paint battered by the relentless downpour. The last tow truck rumbled away into the night, taillights swallowed by a curtain of rain. Jeffrey stood alone, the certificate limp in his hand, ink running. Ashley smiled from her car, then drove off. 1 week earlier, Ashley Thornton stood before the HOA board, a projector displaying images of Jeffrey Barrett's barn.
That eyesore on Old Mill Road is a junkyard of rusted scrap. It's dragging down our entire community's property values. Neighbors won't stop complaining. We need immediate action, a county abatement order to clean up that mess. I need a motion.
The vote was unanimous. Ashley personally called the county commissioner that afternoon, stressing urgency. Within 2 days, an abandoned vehicle abatement order landed on a county clerk's desk, rubber-stamped as routine. A mile away, Jeffrey Barrett was blissfully unaware, fine-tuning a carburetor on his 1937 Cord 812.
This beauty just needs a new gasket. I'll order one tomorrow, and she'll purr like new.
That evening, a courier slipped the abatement notice under his barn door. Jeffrey saw it as he locked up, too exhausted to open it.
Probably another HOA flyer about grass height. I'll read it tomorrow.
The notice lay unread, its 48-hour deadline ticking quietly toward the storm that was about to break. The next morning, Jeffrey tore open the envelope. It was a county abatement order, 48 hours to remove all vehicles.
48 hours. I've got 11 cars in there. Where am I supposed to move them?
He called the number on the notice. A clerk answered, her voice flat.
County Abandoned Vehicle Division. If you're calling about a tow, the order is final.
These aren't junkers. They're registered historic vehicles. I have the certificates right here.
Sir, you needed to file an exemption. They're listed as abandoned. The order stands.
But I have federal documentation. The Historic Vehicle Association.
Tow trucks come Wednesday. You can appeal afterward. Goodbye.
The line went dead. Jeffrey pulled out the HVA registry certificates from his safe, the red federal seal gleaming.
They'll see these and stop. Federal law has to count for something.
Wednesday afternoon, Jeffrey drove home to find 2 flatbed tow trucks blocking his barn entrance.
What the hell are you doing? Get those chains off my cord.
I have a signed order from the county judge, Mr. Barrett. I have no choice.
Just give me 30 minutes to get my lawyer on the phone. That car's irreplaceable. My grandfather rebuilt it.
The winch answered instead, its motor grinding as the Cord's tires left the ground.
About time. Someone enforce the rules around here. The neighborhood's been waiting for this.
You vindictive tyrant. You have no idea what you've done. Those cars are federal cultural property.
Rules are rules, Jeffrey. You should have cleaned up your junkyard years ago.
One by one, the flatbeds rumbled away, each carrying a piece of Barrett history into the downpour. Jeffrey stood paralyzed, the HVA certificate now a wet rag in his fist, the ink bleeding through his fingers. The morning after the tow, Jeffrey trudged through the county impound lot, his shoes sinking into cold mud.
$8 million of history, rusting in a muddy field because of one woman's vanity.
The Bugatti's convertible had been left down, rainwater pooling on its leather seats, and beneath the engine cover, the The clutch housing showed a fresh stress fracture from the rough loading. He dialed the HVA's emergency hotline, his voice hoarse when the line clicked.
HVA emergency line. Dr. Harper speaking. What's the nature of your call?
My federally registered vehicles were towed by the county. The Bugatti's clutch is cracked. There's water damage everywhere.
A 1936 Bugatti Atlantic prototype. That vehicle is registered. Our monitoring system flagged the unauthorized movement overnight. This is a federal cultural property incident. I am alerting the National Park Service's Cultural Resources team. I am booking the first flight out. Don't let anyone touch those cars. Understood?
By noon, a black government SUV pulled into the impound lot. Dr. Elaine Harper stepped out, flanked by 2 federal agents.
This is the Bugatti Atlantic prototype. The clutch fracture is catastrophic. They winched it without axle straps.
I told them it was a historic vehicle, but the deputy said a court order left him no choice.
The federal agents methodically checked each vehicle's ID number against the HVA database, confirming all 8 were registered. Jeffrey then produced his grandfather's leather ledgers, decades of meticulous records proving the provenance of every part. Dr. Harper filled out the federal criminal complaint, citing Title 18, Section 668, unlawful damage to a cultural heritage item. Within the hour, the county attorney was on the phone with Ashley Thornton.
Federal agents. That's absurd. We followed all proper procedures. They can't intimidate me.
But the attorney warned that the complaint wasn't about procedure. It concerned the destruction of federally protected property.
A bluff. Jeffrey Barrett wants attention. The HOA will not be bullied by a man with rusty cars.
Within hours, the HOA board assembled an emergency session. Gregory Stevens dropped the federal complaint onto the table.
This is no bluff. A federal complaint under Title 18, Section 668, damage to a national cultural artifact. If the U.S. Attorney decides to prosecute, the board could be looking at criminal fines and personal liability.
Over a broken clutch? Barrett is exaggerating. The feds won't waste time on some hobbyist's rust bucket.
A board member asked whether the association's insurance would cover the defense. Stevens hesitated.
Our D&O policy covers errors and omissions, but it excludes intentional, willful acts. This towing was pushed through deliberately.
I was protecting property values. The board approved the motion. We're all in this together. The insurance will cover us.
I'll need to review the policy in detail, but Ashley, you personally pressured the county clerk for the expedited order.
If anyone thinks they can pin this on me and walk away, they've got another thing coming. I'll sue every one of you.
She grabbed her bag and stormed out, the complaint lying on the table like unexploded ordnance. The insurance adjuster's decision landed in Gregory Stevens' inbox 48 hours after the complaint was filed.
Exclusion 7.4. Intentional damage to federally registered cultural property. The board's D&O policy does not apply.
The adjuster cited Ashley's repeated phone calls and the expedited county order as proof of deliberate, intentional action.
This is a setup. I was enforcing community standards, something this board voted for unanimously.
The board has asked me to request your immediate resignation, Ashley. Your continued presence jeopardizes the defense.
You traitors. I'll sue every one of you for coercion and breach of fiduciary duty.
She slammed the door so hard the frame cracked, but this time the board did not call her back. That night, Jeffrey Barrett's phone rang. His attorney had just received the insurance denial notice.
The insurance won't pay, so Ashley is personally liable for the damage? Good. She can't hide behind the HOA.
$7.4 million was the restoration estimate, a number that now belonged to Ashley Thornton alone. By sunrise, a local news crew was at Jeffrey's barn, their camera aimed at the empty bays.
Every one of those cars is a National Historic Vehicle Registry entry. My grandfather spent decades restoring them.
He led the reporter inside, where only oil stains and his grandfather's open ledgers remained. Ashley watched the broadcast from her couch, remote trembling in her manicured hand.
I'll be ruined. That grease monkey is trying to destroy me.
The county commissioner's office issued a colorless statement, All procedures were lawfully followed, but online, one comment topped them all. This lady torched $7 million in heritage. She belongs in a cell. Jeffrey's phone buzzed with messages. Strangers offering support. Former HVA registrars praising his fight. Ashley received her own wave of mail, demands for her resignation, and a notice of a protest outside her house. For the first time, the story had escaped the courtroom, and the jury of public opinion had already delivered its verdict. Dr. Harper returned to Jeffrey's barn, this time with a conservation architect and a photographer from the HVA.
The documentation on the cord 812 is unmatched. Every gasket, every paint code. This is a museum-grade restoration. The HVA is filing to designate this entire barn as a satellite preservation site. Federal protection, exempt from local codes.
Within an hour, the news broke across every local channel. Federal site designation could strip HOA power over Barrett Barn.
Gregory, sue them. File an emergency injunction. This is an illegal taking of private property rights.
The petition cites the National Historic Preservation Act. We can challenge it, but a federal judge will decide.
The emergency injunction was filed by noon, arguing the designation would do irreparable harm to the HOA's governance. Jeffrey got the news while polishing the cord's headlamp, the irony not lost on him.
They can't block federal designation with a county injunction. This barn is bigger than their petty rules now.
He hung up and looked around the barn. Empty bays, waiting for the return of their heritage, now under the gaze of Washington. The federal courtroom fell silent as Judge Patricia Vance took the bench, her eyes scanning the packed gallery.
Your Honor, the HOA acted within its legal authority to abate a public nuisance. This barn is not a museum. It's private property.
These ledgers document 50 years of restoration. Every bolt, every paint chip, my grandfather kept it all.
Mr. Stevens, if the Smithsonian's warehouse were located in a suburb, could an HOA bulldoze it for violating color codes?
Respectfully, that's an extreme comparison. The HOA was not aware of any federal registration.
Yet certification was presented to the deputy on site. Ignorance of federal law is no defense.
After a tense recess, the judge returned with a ruling that landed like a hammer on polished wood.
This court grants temporary federal guardianship over the Barrett Barn. No HOA action, no county orders, no interference.
Ashley turned to Jeffrey, her glare sharp enough to cut glass. For the first time, her confidence cracked.
She can glare all she wants. My barn is protected now, and this is only the beginning.
The next morning, flatbeds reversed through the barn doors, gently lowering each vehicle back into its bay.
The Bugatti's clutch housing is a disaster. Original parts will cost a fortune.
The Historic Vehicle Association will cover the restoration costs. Jeffrey, these cars are national treasures.
I can't thank you enough, Dr. Harper. This barn wouldn't be standing without you.
Ashley Thornton, however, was not finished. She filed an emergency appeal, claiming the ruling was an overreach.
I've got legal resources he can't match. This will drag on until he's bankrupt.
Jeffrey learned of the appeal while ordering a gasket. He shook his head and kept working.
Appeals take years. I've got engines to rebuild.
Dr. Harper personally delivered the HVA grant check, her faith in the case unshaken. The barn hummed with purpose again, the scent of oil and history filling the air. 2 weeks later, Ashley Thornton stared at her laptop screen. The bank alert was unblinking. Assets frozen pending civil judgment. Her husband pulled a suitcase from the closet, his voice barely a whisper. The ring was already off his finger.
Gregory, make this go away. Offer him a settlement. I'll pay every dime if it makes this nightmare stop.
Ashley, you are talking about $7.4 million, liquidating everything you own. Are you certain?
Sell the house, sell the jewelry. I don't care. Just make him drop that federal complaint.
3 days later, Jeffrey sat in a roadside diner, a single sheet of paper sliding across the table toward him. The letter offered full restitution for all property damage, legal fees covered, in exchange for withdrawal of the federal complaint. His lawyer's voice was clinical. $7 million, full compensation, no admission of guilt. All he had to do was let it go. Jeffrey stared at the paper, the ink blurring. $7 million wouldn't uncrack the clutch, but it would restore everything and then some.
Sign it, and she walks. No record, no charges. Just a check. Grandpa would have called it hush money.
Jeffrey left the diner without signing. He drove straight to the barn where Dr. Harper was cataloging the Cord's engine.
Dr. Harper, Ashley offered a full settlement. $7 million if I dropped the federal complaint.
And what does your gut tell you, Jeffrey?
She called it a junkyard. She'd pay to make it all go away. But those cars aren't just mine. They belong to history.
He glanced at the photograph on his workbench. His grandfather, a wrench in hand, the cord gleaming behind him.
If I take this money, I tell every HOA that federal registries are just paper. Next time, they'll crush someone else.
The HVA will back you all the way. This case is about more than cars. It's about cultural protection.
He picked up his phone and dialed his lawyer. The words were quiet, but final. Gregory Stevens delivered the news to Ashley in her office. The settlement was dead, and the federal case would proceed.
Then I'll fight him to the Supreme Court. He's a nobody with a wrench.
The HOA board convened without Ashley. The vote to remove her as chair was 6-1, with no debate. An hour later, Ashley packed her office under the watchful eye of the new interim chair. The board retained new counsel and filed a cross-claim against Ashley for misrepresentation and reckless endangerment. The process server found her at home that evening, a thick envelope of legal papers in his hand.
Get off my property. I've done nothing wrong. You can't serve me with this garbage.
He dropped the summons on her doorstep and walked away. The lawsuit named her personally for 7 figures. 2 days later, a flatbed tow truck idled in her driveway. The leasing company was repossessing the Mercedes.
Even my car is gone. Everything I built, ripped apart by some man in his dirty garage.
Inside her once pristine home, Ashley sat amid moving boxes. The HOA had frozen her remaining access. She stared at a notice of eviction, the final blow. In 1 month, the bank would own the roof over her head. 3 months of review culminated in a single-page order from Judge Vance, permanently designating the Barrett Barn a federal satellite preservation site.
The documentation of the Cord 812 restoration is unparalleled. This barn is a living museum.
Jeffrey and Dr. Harper shook hands as the courtroom gallery erupted in applause. A bronze plaque was mounted beside the barn doors that afternoon, its words permanent. It read, "Satellite Preservation Site, exempt from all HOA jurisdiction in perpetuity." Reporters gathered as Jeffrey, voice steady, addressed the cameras.
This barn is not just mine anymore. It's a piece of America's heritage.
Across town, Ashley watched the broadcast, hollow-eyed in her half-empty living room.
The junkyard is a monument now. I've lost everything.
The station cut to commercial, but the camera lingered on the bronze plaque, glinting in the afternoon sun. By noon, federal marshals had ringed the barn with white stakes and yellow tape, each marker stamped with a stern federal warning. Ashley Thornton pulled up in a newly leased silver Mercedes, her smile brittle with defiance and rage.
It's a public road. You can't tell me where to park.
A federal marshal pointed to the warning sign, then calmly radioed for a tow truck. Within 30 minutes, a flatbed arrived and hooked the Mercedes. Ashley screamed in protest. Jeffrey watched from the barn door, shaking his head. The poetic reversal was impossible to miss. The tow truck rumbled away, the silver Mercedes dangling behind like a captured trophy. Ashley returned an hour later to find only a federal citation lying on the grass, where her Mercedes had been.
They can't do this. That car was all I had left, and they took it again.
The citation charged her with trespass on a federal preservation site, a final $700 insult that the entire neighborhood watched. The final federal hearing opened to a packed courtroom, Judge Patricia Vance presiding with a stern finality.
Ashley Thornton, this court finds you guilty of violating Title 18, Section 668, deliberate damage to a federally registered cultural artifact.
The sentence included restitution of $7.4 million to the HVA and a lifetime ban from serving on any homeowners association. Outside the courthouse, Ashley emerged into a blinding wall of cameras, her hand instinctively shielding her face.
No comment. Just let me disappear.
She pushed through the swarm and climbed into a waiting sedan, the door slamming shut on the noise. Jeffrey Barrett walked out minutes later, the HVA certificate once soaked in rain now dry and framed in his hand.
Justice was served. It was never about the money. It was about making sure no other collector faces this.
Then, without a backward glance, he walked down the courthouse steps, his shoulders finally loose. The federal order lay on the prosecutor's table, the word guilty stamped in unerasable ink beneath Ashley Thornton's name. 6 months to the day after the verdict, Jeffrey Barrett stood at his barn door, welcoming the first school group ever to step inside.
Welcome to Barrett Historic Vehicle Site. Every car in here has a story, and I am going to tell you every one.
Dr. Elaine Harper stepped forward, holding a small velvet box. The HVA Lifetime Achievement Award glinted inside.
For your unwavering defense of American automotive heritage, the Historic Vehicle Association names you a Lifetime Fellow.
Neighbors who had once kept their distance now crowded the barn, sharing coffee and congratulations. A young girl tugged his sleeve and pointed at the cord. Her voice was barely a whisper.
She wants to know if she can sit in the cord. The answer is yes. That's what it's here for.
The girl settled into Cord's leather seat, gripping the wooden steering wheel, the barn erupting in applause and camera flashes. The local paper snapped a photo. Jeffrey, the girl, and the medal, framed by the now pristine Bugatti Atlantic.
The barn is open to the public now. Every Saturday. No HOA can ever close it again.
1 year later, Jeffrey Barrett sat on his barn's porch, morning coffee in hand, watching the sun crest the ridge. 15 miles away, Ashley Thornton wiped down a diner counter, her hot pink blazer replaced by a standard issue apron. That evening, her old sedan crept past the Barrett property line. She didn't signal, didn't stop. For a fleeting heartbeat, their eyes locked. Then Ashley yanked the wheel and sped away, dust curling behind her. Jeffrey raised his coffee mug in a silent toast. No malice, no triumph, just a quiet knowing.
Grandpa, we didn't let them take it.
The camera panned across the property to the stone sign. Barrett Historic Vehicle Site, open by appointment. Behind it, the Cord and the Bugatti gleamed under the carport, their engines fully restored, their provenance untouchable. Ashley Thornton's appeal was denied. Final, the restitution order would follow her for life. But on that porch, with the morning sun warming his face, Jeffrey Barrett wasn't thinking about Ashley. He was booking next Saturday's school tour. In the weeks that followed, Jeffrey mailed a thick envelope to every member of the HOA board. Inside each was a copy of the Federal Preservation Order and a single handwritten note. It said simply, "Keep your receipts." He pinned the original abatement notice next to his grandfather's photograph on the barn wall. Now, every visitor sees it, the document that tried to erase this place, and the man who built it.
They called it a junkyard. Now, it's on the National Register of Historic Places.
Letters arrived from collectors worldwide, thanking him for standing firm, but Jeffrey kept none on display. Only Grandpa's ledger remained open on the workbench. One morning, he sat with his coffee, the barn doors wide, the cord gleaming in the sun. Outside, the sign read, Barrett Historic Vehicle Site. No HOA. And it always would. A final aerial sweep of Barrett Historic Vehicle Site. The barn standing like a fortress of chrome and memory. The sign at the entrance still reads No OO, a quiet warning to anyone who underestimates a man with a wrench and a federal certificate. The Bugatti's grill badge gleams, its clutch housing now museum quality, a testament to what was almost lost. In the barn, Jeffrey waves to the last tour group of the day, his HVA medal catching the golden light. He never sought fame. He just wanted to protect what his grandfather built. But in doing so, he drew a permanent line between public good and private greed. That line is federal law, It doesn't discriminate between a junkyard and a treasure. It only asks one question. Are you willing to fight if this story stayed with you? If you believe collectors deserve a fair fight, hit that subscribe button. There are more receipts where this came from. And remember, keep your receipts, all of them.